Szanowni Państwo, znajdujemy się w ostatniej sekcji rozwiązań, które chcielibyśmy Państwu dzisiaj zaprezentować. Dotyczą one rozwiązań, aplikacji i produktów producenta GFI Software pod brandem Exinda Network. Co to są dokładnie za rozwiązania, pokażę na swoich slajdach, natomiast po mojej krótkiej prezentacji Józef Kacala z firmy GFI Software wprowadzi Państwa nieco szerzej w świat rozwiązań Exinda, a także opowie troszeczkę więcej o produktach i dodatkowo zaprezentuje Państwu konsolę demo, środowisko demo z wybranymi opcjami konfiguracyjnymi. W ramach rozwiązań Exinda mamy tutaj dostępne dwa produkty. Jest to Exinda Network oraz Exinda SD-WAN. Urządzenia współpracują ze sobą ściśle oraz znakomicie się uzupełniają, jeżeli chodzi o zapewnienie dostępności dostępu do sieci internet, jak i jeszcze lepszej optymalizacji tego, co chcemy uzyskać. Czyli optymalizacja, kontrola, zarządzanie i przepustowość to są główne hasła przewodnie, które przyświecają tym dwóm dokładnie produktom. W ramach tego, co jest dostępne z punktu konfiguracyjnego w przypadku Exinda Network, to tak naprawdę monitorowanie na żywo wszystkiego tego, co dzieje się w naszej sieci. Dodam, że Exinda występuje zarówno w formie urządzenia fizycznego, jak i w formie urządzenia wirtualnego. Co daje nam to rozwiązanie i jakie korzyści możemy odnieść, implementując je w naszym środowisku IT? To przede wszystkim przyspieszenie aplikacji, nadawanie pewnego rodzaju reguł, ról, tego, na czym tak najbardziej nam zależy pod kątem największej dostępności. To dodatkowo określanie priorytetów, w jaki sposób użytkownicy i kiedy korzystają z aplikacji oraz w jaki sposób mogą zużywać przepustowość w sieci. W ramach rozwiązania dostępne są interaktywne analityki, które nie tylko podpowiadają administratorom to, co należy wykonać, aby zabezpieczyć pewne punkty, w których traci się tą przepustowość, ale także podpowiadają niektóre zalecenia, jakie kroki należy podjąć, aby usprawnić pewien proces, aby jego przyspieszyć, bądź aby przekierować pasmo na aplikację, na której najbardziej nam zależy, z której najczęściej chcemy korzystać, bądź dla której chcielibyśmy zapewnić praktycznie ciągły dostęp. I drugi produkt w ramach Exinda to Exinda SD-WAN. Jest to urządzenie również fizyczne, instalowane w obrębie środowiska, w środowisku klienta. Co zyskujemy dzięki temu? To na pewno łatwe zwiększenie przepustowości poprzez dodanie kolejnych połączeń z internetem dla już istniejących połączeń. Rozwiązanie dedykowane jest głównie dla średnich i dużych firm, średnich i dużych przedsiębiorstw. Na pewno do zalet należy to, że możemy łatwo i zdalnie łączyć się pomiędzy różnymi naszymi lokalizacjami. Rozwiązanie stanowi znakomite uzupełnienie z Exinda Network i dodatkowo nie mogło tutaj zabraknąć informacji o tym, że w ramach Exinda mamy dostępny bardzo łatwy, prosty i intuicyjny interfejs użytkownika. Dziękuję za to krótkie wprowadzenie. Oddaję głos Józefowi, który, tak jak wspomniałem, troszeczkę więcej opowie Państwu o tych dwóch właśnie rozwiązaniach.
Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Kachala and I'm going to show you a few things more technical about the Exinda Network Orchestrator. So I hope that everyone can see my screen and the things are big enough. So in the nutshell, what Exinda is doing in the network is that it will provide you the whole visibility in what is happening in the network, which is very important from all different angles. If you know what's going on, then you are able to fix it. And also from the security perspective, it's very important to know what applications, what consumptions, what users, what hosts, what ports, what are being utilized and used in the network. So once you log in into the Exinda, you will definitely see the first hints on the visibility. We can see the top 8 inbound and outbound application groups. So those groups are, a group of applications which are meeting the certain requirements. Over here we can find, for example, social networking, voice over IP, interactive streaming, a lot of different groups. Underneath, we can find the recreational section. The recreational section will immediately give the administrator or the business owner idea where they can limit and what applications they can limit in order to make the business applications run more smoothly. All other sections or all other views from the visibility perspective could be found in the monitor section. When you expand, you'll see all the different angles. Obviously, one of the best angles is the application angle. In this report, we are able to see the timeline. So we can very clearly see when a certain application was used. We can see the consumption of that application. And on the right side, we can see all other top applications. Underneath, we will find the same thing on the outbound applications. So again, the graph where we can see when the applications are being used, we can see the full list of top applications, and underneath we can find all the remaining applications, because obviously the network traffic is not consisting only with the top applications. There are a lot of other which can make equal damage to the productivity or the good performance of business critical applications. If you're interested to know, for example, who's using Windows Store, then very easily you can just click on Windows Store and you'll be transferred into the host view where you can see from which host is this traffic utilized. So in this case, we can see 2 IP addresses. Again, we can see the timeline. We are very able to distinguish when those things are actually being used. All the screens from the visibility perspective, you can change the time range. So if I'll go to last 60 minutes, then I have no data because I booted up the server just a few minutes before the meeting. So let's stay on last 30 days. Of course, there is a direct host view where you can see all the hosts pretty much from the very same angle as we saw the applications. So you can see the timeline, which will give you a very good understanding when a certain host is consuming valuable company resources. Again, you can see the top listeners, top talkers, and all the list of other hosts underneath, where, as before, you are able to click on the host and to see what kind of applications have been utilized from that host. So, of course, to see what applications are being used in the network is very important, but I mentioned the performance of the applications in the beginning. For the performance, we do have a very special report, which is called the service levels. When you go to the service levels, you'll be directly able to understand which application is performing good or which application is performing bad. Obviously, this is very valuable from different perspectives. At first, if your employees are using certain applications, for example, AnyDesk for remote connection, and the AnyDesk will perform poorly, then the productivity of your employees will be slower or lower as well. Then there are other applications which can, for example, directly influence the good name of your company. If you have, for example, a GoToMeeting meeting or a Zoom meeting and the voice will not be correct, the video will be bad, the quality will be bad, then this will also be impacting your reputation and also obviously your business as well. And if you are a service provider or you are providing certain services to your customers, for example, email or certain storage or archiving, you name it, also this can help you to maintain good quality of the services which you are offering. So simply, if the score is high, the quality is good. If the score is poor, such as with the Carrier VPN, then the quality is bad. If you want to, for example, troubleshoot, then you can easily click on the team viewer in this case, and we'll be able to see the graphs. We'll be able to identify when it's actually being bad, because the score is changing. So we'll not have always the same score. So in last 7 days, we can see the different values. So the score can change, and there are a lot of influences in the network which can intervene with the good performance of the applications. But once you will learn when the performance is dropping, when you identify the time and, for example, the day, then very easily you can find with other graphs, other applications which could be a potential cause of this bad score of critical application. course, they are all different views. You can also see the SLAs. You can take a look on the TCP efficiency or TCP health. So Exinda is very granular when it comes to the stats from the applications and application performance. So once you know what is going on, once you identify the applications, the users, the hosts, the application groups, and you've learned how the applications are performing, then you can take this information to really another level. This level is happening in the optimizer when you can very easily create policies and virtual circuits. The virtual circuits are basically the first level of segmentation. So you can use them to divide the bandwidth and give this bandwidth to certain categories or to certain groups of people. It could be, for example, HR or R&D, and then those groups of people will also have individual policies which will apply on their traffic only. Yeah, so this virtual circuit is applying on me, obviously. So let's have a look on how the Zoom policy looks like, because we are currently using Zoom for this conference, which we can very easily prove in the real-time monitor. Yeah, we can see Zoom, we can see my IP, we can see the consumption. So we know that Zoom is being used right now. So let's have a look on the policy. So in the policy, we are saying that Zoom, if it will be used, that means that if these filters underneath VLAN, sources, which could be a subnet, IP address, group of IP addresses, users coming from Active Directory or adaptive response, TOS or DCCP, or the application signatures, if they are being matched, that means that they exist and they fall under the virtual circuit, they will be able to consume 4% out of the available bandwidth in the virtual circuit. The maximum is 15%. This 15% could be assigned to this policy once the other policies in the policy tree under the virtual circuit will not be using their minimum bandwidth definition. So this means that if Office 365 will not use the 6%, then this 6% can be easily used by the Zoom policy to grow up from 4% up to, for example, to 9% or to 10%. It will consume only as much as it is needed. If it's not needed, then literally the bandwidth will be available for other policies in place. There are certain other reports where you can also have a look on how the policies are performing. And also, as I showed, in the policy, there is also the acceleration mechanism. Exinda is supporting two ways of acceleration. The first acceleration is happening between two or multiple Exinda units. So the best deployment would be in the branch office and in the headquarters. In the headquarters and the data center and the data recovery site, or you name it. So the acceleration technique is able to help with the latency, and also is able to reduce the amount of data being transferred between two sites. So it can help with saving tremendous quantities of data. It is doing with use of three main techniques: the data caching on the WAN memory, the compression, and TCP acceleration. The TCP acceleration, in the nutshell, is basically reducing the chattiness of the TCP protocol. The TCP protocol has a three-way handshakes, a lot of acknowledgements, and a lot of SYN status and all this stuff. So the Exinda is basically reducing this to a bare minimum, but only in the communication happening between two or multiple Exinda boxes. The other acceleration technique is simply the edge cache. The edge cache is able to, even with a single device, to cache multiple objects on the Exinda hard drive. These objects, once they are going to be called again, for example, a good example is Windows updates. You know, when you're doing updates, you are updating multiple computers at the same time. So from that perspective, you are always going to download only a single patch, single update. And once that update will be needed again by some other computer, then simply the update will go from the cache itself. So it can save a lot of data. And we can see directly this in this graph over here. Oh, too fast. So we can see that this happened September 20. Yeah, sorry, 4th of September. So we see that I downloaded some file but basically only a small fragment was downloaded. The red is representing for the WAN data and the blue represents the LAN data. So in the nutshell, in this period of time, I've delivered over the LAN 1.5 gigs and I downloaded over the WAN 512 megs. So which gives me the reduction ratio of 67% almost. Yeah. So it could be very powerful when it comes to updates, when it comes to websites, videos, ads, pictures, you name it. When there is a duplicity, which there is, because what users are doing in the network, they are constantly going to the same content. Yeah. So it can save a lot of data. And overall, in the last 30 days, we can see that I delivered 3.6 gigs and I downloaded 2.5 gigs on the WAN, which of course is a lower reduction ratio than before, but this is the Exinda deployed in my home, so not so many users and not so many things actually going through it. So to top it off, the Exinda Network Orchestrator is an in-path device with use of transparent bridges. The Exinda offers the total visibility in the network. It will tell you about all users, applications, ports, and other traffic. This information can be then used in the optimizer to build a three-level hierarchy of policies. With use of policies, you can control the performance of the applications and also control the consumption of the bandwidth. Third thing is that in every policy, you can also set up the acceleration, which is helping with the data consumption and also with latency. So this is pretty much all from my side. So over to you.